The Raptors win big at MSG against the 5-1 New York Knicks without Scotty Barnes. So in today's video we cover, is this Toronto Raptors team the real deal? Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? It's Amateur Hour Sports, your source for everything Raptors. On this channel, we do Raptors news, game recaps, mock trades, and so much more. So if you like the Toronto Raptors and you enjoy content in this sort of video style, make sure you subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this, at least 4 videos a week, all concerning the Toronto Raptors. So let's get down to what we're talking about today. The Toronto Raptors, again, at Madison Square Garden on national television. The Raptors, we don't always get those nationally televised games, so it's nice when they come around, but it's also not nice that when they come around, well, if there's a problem like Scotty Barnes being injured, and we already don't have Pascal Siakam, so there's likely 2 starters that are unavailable against a full throttle New York Knicks, who are currently 5-1 in the NBA, the top seed in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors had their work cut out for them absolutely in this game, but my goodness, did they deliver, ending up with a good margin of victory, a comfortable win in the end. New York, they tried to hang around, but the Toronto Raptors were shooting absolutely lights out in this one en route to the victory. And it's nice to dominate those nationally televised games because the Raptors fans in general, I mean, we're just so sick and tired of being disrespected as a franchise. So the nationally televised games are ones where, okay, those box score Andes, you just look at stats and say, oh, the Raptors, they're nothing, they're no big deal. But when they actually see the Raptors play in games like this, we want to show out, to prove you wrong. Like, hey, you're wrong about us. We're actually really good at basketball. And it seemed like everything was leading up to possibly a loss against the New York Knicks. It's no secret that they were favorites in this one. Again, they were 5-1 coming in, and we didn't have Scotty Barnes. We don't have Pascal Siakam. In place of Scotty Barnes, we start Svi Mykhailiuk, who I was a little bit unsure about that decision to go with Mykhailiuk from the start, but my goodness, did he show out. That next man up attitude is absolutely returning to this Toronto Raptors team. So let's break down what we saw from the game. So without Scotty Barnes, again, we saw more of Svi Mykhailiuk, who did have a good game, but OG Anunoby got even more dominant on the ball. After an unsure first quarter and a half, I'd say, Julius Randle was thriving. He dropped 18 points in the first quarter, but after that, OG Anunoby locked him down in absolute Alcatraz hell for the next 36 minutes, as he only had 4 points for the rest of the game. I bet on Julius Randle's under 23.5 points. He had 18 after the first quarter. I thought I was dead on the bet, but OG Anunoby locks him up for only 22 points in the game, and OG Anunoby himself showed out, was 36 points, a career high for OG Anunoby, and was doing a lot of that on Julius Randle, who could just not handle OG. And he was doing it everywhere. It wasn't just catch and shoot threes. It was pull up off the dribble threes. It wasn't just getting to the rim with layups, getting to the rim with floaters, but also he was going down and dunking with authority. And we all saw the Fred VanVleet lob to OG Anunoby that brought the MSG crowd down. They did not enjoy that. OG was also getting busy in mid-range everywhere. Fred VanVleet is developing a lot as the point guard rather than just the lead scorer. I mean, he is still putting up some points, but he's really developing as a point guard as well. The Raptors, Gary Trent, I mean, he's looked great so far this season, and he continued that yesterday with another very, very, very good performance. So the Raptors, without Siakam, their best player, without their rookie phenom, Scotty Barnes, took care of business against the New York Knicks. So it's time to ask, is this Raptors team the real deal? Well, what is the real deal for the Raptors? Real deal was probably what we had in the 2019-2020 season. We were the 2 seed, and if Siakam had showed up in the playoffs, maybe we have a good opportunity to run it back and win another NBA championship. That we will never know of, and the reality is we lost in the second round. But what that Raptors team had was an identity. The identity was their defense, and it was a very stubborn defense that teams did not want to play against. It was also a team that thrived in transition. Pascal Siakam that season, every time somebody pulled down a defensive rebound, he would gun up the court and work the opposition as quick as possible. The Raptors have reestablished that identity within their team. They've committed to this identity of defense first, push it hard in transition, and the half-court offense, lots of question marks about that, but it has started to roll as the Raptors are hitting more threes. As the Toronto Raptors hit more threes, it forces the opposition defense to play more on the outside to stop the three ball, which gives a lot more space on the interior for our a huge amount of slashing talent to get to the rim. And that is what we are now seeing. And that is why the Raptors half-court offense has been rolling over the last few games. 4 wins in a row for this team. But the identity has been constructed. And when you have this identity that you construct, it all starts with the coach, Nick Nurse, really instilling this philosophy and this tactic within the team. And it also starts with the teams and the players in Summer League and the teams in training camp and the teams in preseason. The Raptors, all of these teams have been dedicated to this style and this system of play. So they're all prepared to be a part of the game. So when we have to go to the bench early and bring on guys like Malachi Flynn and bring on guys like Justin Champagnie, they already know what they need to do on the court. And that is why the Raptors work so well with this next man up mentality. Because when Scotty Barnes goes out, Svi Mykhailiuk comes in and the team doesn't change. There's no difference to the way that we're going to play. Does it mean that OG Anunoby is going to get more touches? Yeah, absolutely. 36 points, career high. That ain't no joke. But how could we perform this admirably without Scotty Barnes available? And it comes down to the next man up attitude, because every player feels like they can come in and do a job. But again, every player can come in and feel like they can do a job because there is no change to what we do based on who is injured. We still play the exact same way, no matter who starts, no matter who's on the bench. Every player who steps on the court for the Toronto Raptors knows exactly what their job is and knows exactly what they have to execute in order to make the team successful. And that is exactly what we're seeing. That's why the Raptors fans, we always say, the next man up attitude. That is why Svi Mykhailiuk could have just seamlessly transitioned into the team, because he's been performing that role off the bench. All he has to do is perform that role as a starter. That starting role also afforded us a lot of space on offense. Mykhailiuk was hitting his threes. Gary Trent was hitting his threes. It gave OG Anunoby a lot more space on the inside to work with. And I mean, OG Anunoby as well wasn't any joke from three-point land either. OG Anunoby finished was 13 field goals on 27 attempts. Man, he was absolutely sensational last night. And it's nice to see other teams noticing this. I mean, it doesn't really matter what other teams think of the Raptors, but it is nice to get recognition. The New York Knicks broadcasts were drooling over OG Anunoby, watching him play, seeing him do it all on offense from all 3 levels in so many different ways, outplaying Julius Randle in that game. And also not just showing it on offense, but showing his all defense capabilities on defense. He's got to get there this season. Some are even calling OG Anunoby to be an all-star this season. He's averaging over 20 points per game after a very difficult 3 first games of the season for him. The sky is the absolute limit for this player, but this Toronto Raptors team in general, the momentum that they're generating, the way they're playing, the happiness that they show on the court, this is all great vibes, and this is all vibes that remind me of that 2019-2020 season where we were kind of counted out after Kawhi Leonard left the team. But the team went in with very limited expectations, and they just went out there and played basketball. And they played basketball the way they wanted to play. They manipulated the game to play the way they wanted to play, at a fast pace, with a defense-first mentality, with very high rotations, very high degree of switchability on defense. All of those things together made this team difficult to play against, and that is exactly what we have reconstructed for this season. It's very difficult for maybe other teams to notice who don't quite watch the Raptors as much, but this is our identity. And when we control the pace of the game and we force the other team to elevate their pace to match our game, it's just absolute hell to play against. And Julius Randle and Tom Thibodeau absolutely learned that yesterday. But we also have to give a lot of credit to Nick Nurse. He went to the bench very early. When the Raptors were down by 15, he went to the bench very early. He understood the game, could have used maybe more control from the point guard. So Malachi Flynn comes in, and I think him coming into the game, even though he only had limited minutes, his presence on the court really changed the game. He came in and the Raptors all of a sudden went on a run. Justin Champagnie came in, provided some energy. Chris Boucher had another dud of a performance, but Champagnie comes in and he's hauling in some offensive rebound, and he's coming in on defense and making some plays. It's not always about the steals and deflections. Obviously, that's nice for Gary Trent Jr. That's very nice for him, and it's very nice for Fred VanVleet, but it's also the job you do defensively to just eliminate the possibility of a shot going up in the first place. All of these things together make this Raptors team very exciting to watch, and it also shows a very high potential for this team. We're not going to jump the gun on it 8 games into the season, but we were 2-8 last season after 10, and we already have 5. Even if we lose the next 2, which I doubt we will, the Raptors would be 5-5, much better off than last season. And with all the vibes, all the momentum, all the players performing the way they are, this team can definitely go places. And this performance was, again, without Scottie Barnes, without Siakam. So let's insert Scottie Barnes back into this team as we've seen this season. Now let's bring in our best player in Pascal Siakam back into this team. How many teams in the NBA really right now can be performing the way the Toronto Raptors are without their best player on the court? Let's take the Celtics, who are already struggling. Take Jason Tatum out of that equation. What do the Boston Celtics become? Let's take the Brooklyn Nets and remove Kevin Durant from that equation. How do they look? Let's take the Milwaukee Bucks and remove Giannis Antetokounmpo from that equation. The Raptors are 5-3 without their best player on the court. So let's just think about what this team can become in mid to late November when Siakam actually is reinserted into this team. And Siakam himself is pretty much the prodigy of what the Raptors are trying to build with these two-way players with the ability to play great defense with their great wingspan, the great height, but also athletic enough to move in transition and play great on offense. Possibly our best half-court threat is Pascal Siakam, and that is pretty much the weakness we have established with this team, the half-court offense. Just reinsert Pascal Siakam into this team. There is so much potential for this team. I'm so excited to see where they can take us this season. I am riding with it. I have limited expectations. I am riding the current high. Hopefully it is sustainable. Let's just keep the momentum going. We got the Wizards on Wednesday. They're doing great, but that's winnable. You got the Cleveland Cavaliers on Friday. That's a very winnable game at home. The Brooklyn Nets on Sunday, going to be tough, but hey man, one game at a time. We're flying. Let's just keep the good times rolling. I would love to hear your thoughts on this Raptors team. Have they exceeded your expectations and your full expectations for the season? How have they changed as a result of their first 8 games? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please give a like if you did enjoy the video. If you're still watching at the end, it surely means you enjoyed the video and you give us a like. Let's get to 250 likes on this video, and also subscribe to this channel. Let's get to 8,000 subscribers. Get to that next checkpoint on our YouTube adventure. You get 4+ Raptors videos a week when you subscribe, and check out the other channels that I have. My vlog channel is in the top here, the purple logo. I went to the Raptors game last week on Friday, vlogged my experience, great video there. And in the bottom corner here, the orange one is Amateur Clips. We do a post-game show from the Twitch stream every single game, and you can check out the post-game show with that YouTube channel right over there. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next time for another video.